Sup tubes, Tim here. Got an old economy tractor. Built a loader for it. I'm going to kind of show you how I got this. Got some 1/4 inch 2x2 square tubing welded together. Then it goes all the way across over to here, and then I got 1/2 inch hardened bolts going through the frame. Now this main piece you're going to want really heavy duty. If you go with something too thin, when you put your bolts in down there, you'll end up squashing it. That's why I went with this heavy stuff. And these are 30-inch rams closed from eye to eye. I think they're like 2.5 inch, 1.125 rod. Then my nephew got this stuff. It's for hanging like heating ducts and stuff. And I just put them together, staggered them, and welded them together. That's 6011 rod, and I gotta grind all that off yet. That's what 6011 does. It looks pretty nasty, but that shit really penetrates. This is the 3rd loader I've built. I built a wheel horse and a Simplicity. I just built a wheel horse about a month ago, and I just sold it because I acquired this tractor. This is way heavier duty than the motor that was in it. This one here was kind of noisy. Sounded like a piston. I took it out, and it's a 14 horse Kohler. Got some cracks there. And I actually bought another one of these for $200. Pretty rough shape. But I needed the steering box. That's a Ross steering box. I don't know. Kind of hard to find, and if you do find them, they're $300-400. And the motor that was on the parts one had a busted crankshaft. So I took the piston out of this one, pulled this motor out of this one. This motor was in there. Tore it all apart and cleaned it all out and got all aluminum out of it and put a piston in this. Took the piston out of here and put it in here. Still kind of loose. It runs good, but it needs to be bored out and stuff. So then the motor I put on here, the guy had a wheel horse, a 14 horse. Some kid, he used it for a mud mower. And I got this motor for $40. I took it all apart, and it's like brand new inside. So I don't know if this thing had a new short block, you know, five years ago, 10 years ago, I don't know, but it's like just the piston's totally clean. The inside of the motor is totally clean. So whoever owned that wheel horse must have had a new short block put in it, because this thing runs perfect. So then this pressure plate, and you know, you got the pressure plate, and then you got your flywheel. You know, actually you got a flywheel here, but the flywheel at the pressure plate that the clutch rides on, these are real hard to get off. You take those Allen screws out. Seen guys take a bolt and stick it in there and use it with a nut to kind of try to jack that off of there. That's what I did on this one. This motor was junk. So I ended up just cutting the crankshaft off and sticking it in my press and pushing out that chunk of crankshaft just to save that. So then on that motor there, while I was running, I took sandpaper and emery cloth till it was like brand new. And then anti-seized it, and then put that motor in. And the motor in the economies, they got this ridge right here that the bell housing fits in perfect into this ridge. Well, that motor over there off that wheel horse doesn't have this. So when you put the bell housing on, just leave the bolts loose. And then when you get it in the tractor, get everything set up and bolted down, then go ahead and snug those bolts. Because this actually acts like a machined, so it's like totally dead nuts. Let me shut this furnace off. But yeah, arms are all built. And this bucket, we had an old oil tank at work. It was like a rectangular oil tank. We weren't using it. So I cut the oil tank with the plasma cutter like this. And then this came like all the way up to here, like a big piece of cheese. And then to get this like this, I went up and measured and then cut slits in here. It's like 3/16. And then I bent this down. And then same in the front, I cut slits and then bent this down. I'll grind all this off later. And then there was a bung here where you used to fill it with fuel. I put a plate in there and welded it. I got a weld here yet and then grind it down. And then this is a 8-inch stroke ram. So I mounted it real low, below center of where the bucket pivots. And actually I'm only using about 4 inches of this ram. Totally opens it and closes it. Right now it's totally open. Yeah, as it goes up, it's going to be, a little less, but put new headlights in it. But now I'm waiting for my 2-spool, and then I can start figuring out what hoses I need. I'll just got a Mills Fleet Farm. I'll buy the hoses there, pretty cheap. You can get like a 6-8 foot hose for like $17. So I'll figure out how much hose I'm gonna need. That's usually I get my hoses. Then all my, these are ORB number 8s. Or 6s. Maybe those are 6s. And then the spool I'm getting has got 6 ORB. It's like 3/8 in and out, and then ones that go to the rams are, I think, are number 4 ORB. But these rams are 3/8 pipe. And I got 4 of these for $180, brand new. I got 2 more. I bought 4 of them. I was gonna run 2 rams to run the bucket, but 1 ram's plenty to run the bucket. I just gotta do a lot of grinding, and I usually, when I'm done grinding everything down, like the other loader I built, I ground this all down, ground all the welds down, and then I mix up Bondo. And I put a thin coat over everything, all in here, and then I sand it all down, and it looks like it, you don't see no welds. A little time consuming, but it really looks slick. This thing here too, I'll fill this in with Bondo and sand that all down. So it looks nice. Then the factory color for this thing is called Flambeau Red. Case makes it. You get it at Fleet Farm, Flambeau Red. That's what Economy Tractor used on all their tractors. They bought it from J.I. Case out of Racine. These were built in Waukesha, Wisconsin. from 46 to like, I don't know, 1980 or something. Put a new seat on it. Steering wheel's kind of nasty, but gotta watch these steering boxes too, because water gets down in them, and if it freezes, you can break this box. It's like made out of magnesium. If I couldn't find a steering box, I was just gonna rig up something with like a Vega steering box and make a bracket, and which you could probably do pretty easy. It wouldn't be that hard. But as far as the room you got in there, you don't have much room in there. So it's almost touching the transmission bell housing. Yeah, but I didn't see too many posts on how to build a loader. If any of you guys need the dimensions of this setup I have, leave a comment down in the bottom. I'll get you all that information. I could even give you my phone number and you can call me and I can give you all the measurements. A lot of guys too, they'll run a support from here down to the front of the frame in here someplace, but all the factory ones I've seen, there's no support. So we'll see how flexy it is. I don't think it's gonna flex at all. These frames are, I think these frames are 1/4 inch or 3/16. 2x3 or 1.5 by 3 or some 1.5 by 2. But okie doke, I'll shoot another video when I get all the hoses on it and get it running. Make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.